Jim Blurton, I'm from Welsh in Wales.
The very essence of the mental game is this: the only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier podcast.
I had a soccer coach, and he always said, we are going to be the fittest team always out there. Because in the moment, you don't want to be worried about being tired. You want to be focused on the soccer game.
Right.
Which is what's going to translate for me, hopefully, in the CJF, is that I'm not worried about being tired. I can focus on the task at hand.
And granted, he was like, get your specimens made. 3 months before you take your exam, get all your AW specimens made. And it's good to have other people putting that pressure on you as well. Sometimes if it's a single journey, and you've not got mentors that are coaching you, helping you, you kind of rest a little bit.
If you're hearing this, you are currently on the non-subscriber feed. If you would like to hear this episode in its entirety, please subscribe using the link below. If you're a student, apprentice, or just find yourself in a situation where it isn't financially feasible to subscribe, please reach out to me on Facebook or through the website. The good folks at Out West Design and Fabrication are lending their support by helping us to cover your scholarship subscription. You can check out many of their incredible projects on their Facebook page. Out West Design and Fabrication, your choice for Farrier rakes. Now here's a sample of this week's episode. Thank you for listening.
Most people that I know in this industry only want the best for the other people in the industry, which is a pretty cool thing.
Welcome, everyone. Before we start today, I wanted to have a discussion about mental health. Just this summer in Ontario, we had 2 farriers take their own lives. And over the relatively brief time that I've been a farrier, this has occurred far too many times. I know from discussions I've had with many of my friends and peers that it does seem to be getting tougher out there. My friend Mike Mihak wrote a very well-worded Facebook post about how it's the people, not the horses, who make this job so tough. These are Mike's words. The people are what cause us to put a tremendous amount of stress upon ourselves. The people are the ones who have unrealistic expectations, who assign blame, who bring on guilt. I couldn't agree more. I have experienced a great deal more of this in my own practice this year, and while I am extremely fortunate to have a full book of fantastic clients, unfortunately, it's the minority of squeaky wheels who have made themselves stand out. This time of year, with show season peaking and horses breaking, the tensions are high, and for farriers and vets, it feels like we are constantly being bombarded from all sides. Mike's post offers a solution that he has come up with, and that is social engagement. Going to clinics, courses, certifications. He says it's not just the learning that he's there for, it's the camaraderie and conversation. There truly is something about being able to converse about our shared experiences that thwarts the feelings of isolation and you versus the world. As someone who has struggled personally with mental health issues for most of my life, the loss of any of my peers really hits close to home. There is nothing wrong with seeking professional help. I myself have used a therapist for many years. Sometimes you need more than a fellow farrier's ear. Sometimes you need to call in the pros, the people who've been trained to listen and to help you come up with solutions. You'd be surprised how many of your peers have already gone this route. Now, I'd like to ask you all to do me a favor. We can all think of someone, a farrier or vet, who has seemed a little distant lately, someone you suspect has been having a difficult time. Please reach out to these people. Ask them how they're doing, but not in the surface stuff niceties way. Really ask them. We're all in this together, and we can be a source of support for each other. When I say take care of yourselves and each other out there, this is exactly what I'm talking about. All this said, there is an event coming up soon that many of your peers will be at. the BFBA Focus 2024, and the Stoneleigh International. There will be tons of vendors, lectures, demos, and a world-class competition, all in one place and all in one weekend at the end of September. Go to forgeandfarrier.co.uk to register. You've still got time. I met today's guest at that very event last year, and we sat down and had a chat. As you will hear, no dust settles on Jim, and resting on laurels is just not his style. We discuss his time competing for the Welsh team during the record-breaking streak at Stoneleigh, his multi-farrier practice, and of course his world-renowned tool and farrier supply business. The theme of independence runs strongly through Jim's entire story, and I bet you'll be as inspired as I was by the end of it. It was a genuine pleasure getting to know this man. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. And how did you get your start as a farrier?
Quite simply, I'm third generation.
Okay.
Started 51 years ago when I was 15 because education wasn't my forte. I didn't particularly excel at school. I remember the day the headmaster called me into his office and said, Mr. Blurton, you're never in school on a Friday. What's going on? I said, well, that's our riding school day. I go with my father to clench the horse's feet up. So he said, that's okay. That's okay, because I was quite disruptive at school. So he said, I'm sure he wanted me to go on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and Thursday as well. But we just kept it to the Friday. So that's how I started. So helping my father out on a weekend.
And he learned off of his father. Is that how that worked?
Yeah. My grandfather was only part-time farrier. He was a stonemason. He used to make church altars and stuff like that. So he's a really talented stonemason as well as a metalsmith. So he was quite a bit of practical talent in the gene from the father's side. So
no kidding. Doing the farriery thing, I've spoken to quite a few people where they're second or third generation farrier and they had no interest in it when they were younger. And then later on just realized, okay, yeah, I guess this is something I should do, and then carried on with it. Did you have the bug right from go?
Not really. I think I fell into it because I was going to either do something practical that tired me out or end up in jail, because I was running with the wrong people. I was in trouble all the time, nothing major,
Yeah.
A little fist fight every now and again and all that sort of stuff. So it directed my energy into something that I fell in love with quite quickly.
Okay.
It suited me. I felt I was a practical person, not an academic. Just fitted in at the time. It was the right thing. And I've never looked back. I really love the industry.
Yeah. Well, clearly you've put a lot back into it too.
I think it's been good to me.
Yeah. You started competing, did you not? Was competing a big part of your life?
I started competing when I was 18 or 19. From the college, we used to go up to a 3-county show and do a sort of an apprenticeship competitions. I think I won my first competition when I was 19. So fortunately, I've managed to win competitions in every decade, including into my 60th. So that was... Not so sure about winning one in the 70s. We're going to might give it a try. Yeah. They won't want to drug test me because I might need some painkillers to get there. But yeah, it might be fun.
No kidding. And so we're here at Stoneleigh. How many times had you been a part of this?
I shot in the Welsh team for 30 consecutive years.
Wow.
I think that's a record. But so from 1980 to 2010.
Now, how do you think you maintained that level for that long? You guys were a force to be reckoned with, didn't you? Wasn't it 13 years or?
The same team. We had a fantastic team.
Yeah.
It's one of those teams that I think has put a mark down in history. It was just fun working with the lads, and every day we practiced, we had so much fun. And what a team, People used to say, you've done the whole class and you haven't even talked. We don't need to talk because I know what he's going to do. He knows what I'm going to do. We've been together for 10. Some of the teams, with the odd alternate coming in, we were together about 10 or 12 years, some of the teams. You don't need to talk. You know what's going to happen. You know the process. You've done it so many times. It wasn't say it was on autopilot, but we worked, gelled together so well. think that's going to take a little bit of replicating. But maybe it'll happen one day. But we worked together a long time. It was lack of choice, in all honesty. Wales is a very, very small country. And we had a job every year to find an alternate. So we could never find a fifth man. So it wasn't the fact that it was a closed shop. We didn't have any choice.
Right.
It just so happened to be that we got the likes of Billy Carruthers, 6 or 7 times world champion. Grant was in there. Richard Ellis, Mark Evans, top drawer people, So it was a bit of freak of nature, that the team, because it just came together. Everybody got the same goal. They were all super talented. But we didn't have any choice. It wasn't like it was difficult to get in the Welsh team. It was like there's only 4 in the Welsh team.
It's a good thing you guys got along.
Yeah. Just one of those bizarre things that happens once in a lifetime ever, I guess.
Right. Would you practice a lot leading up to or even throughout the entire year together?
We didn't even used to talk for the most of the year. We just get together. No, occasionally, but we do the odd county show. Not as a team, as a pair.
Okay.
We were coming across each other on a regular, but before the competition, probably get together about a month, 6 weeks. As soon as the shoes came out, we'd have a little practice at home, work it all out, get together. In the later life of the team, we got together a little less because we were gelled together.
Yeah,
so it was just
that.
So we'd practice in pairs and then come together a couple of times as a 4-man team. I think the strength of our team was that we could, I'm not giving secrets away now because it's all over for us, but we used to work out which judge we'd shoe for, and if Billy didn't get on with a particular judge, or I would look at our track record and say, well, we never did very well as a 2-man team under that judge, so we'll spin it around and the other 2 can work for that judge. So we always used to have plan B, where we could all work together. So one year I might work with Billy, the next year I might work with Richard Ellis. It depends how the judges suited our style. So we had that strength in the team that we could switch around quite quickly.
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty good strategy. I imagine when you have a foreign judge come in, if it's not somebody you've run into before, that becomes a bit of a
no, you just have to intimidate the hell out of him.
That's how it works.
No, joking aside, we started competing abroad a little bit. I guess it was reading the judge. The first competitor in the team that would go under that particular judge, we would be talking to him. We get a lot of information out of him. And we get him to highlight what he's thought as the mistakes in the work. Mm-hmm. So the second team member that went under that judge, he wouldn't get the same mistakes twice. So it was, Billy calls it ringcraft, I guess that's what it is. It's just working out a strategy that suited the judge, We had the strength to change our style.
Right.
Yeah. They were all so experienced that if a judge liked a lot of length in his foot, and whether you agreed with it or disagreed with it, if he wants length, he can have it. But the first competitor under that judge would find out exactly what he wanted because we would question it. It's not just a matter of going in there and doing the job. What do you think to the length? What do you think to the fit? And some judges would answer you, some wouldn't. But most would just give a little bit of information. Well, of course, that goes straight back to the rest of the team. Yeah. Unlike an individual competition where you tell nobody anything. So it was fun. Really probably the best years of my life.
How did that work when then you would do individual competitions and you'd be against each other?
Oh, the knives are out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wondered
that. To be fair, I worked with Billy for 15 years on the circuit in the early days, and we placed high on a regular basis. And the one that went on first, by the luck of the draw, would usually be the lower ranking at the end of the competition, because if I went on first, I'd say exactly what he liked and disliked, and Billy would do exactly. It was the same camaraderie. And if he went on, he'd tell me what the judge liked or disliked about his job, and then of course I wouldn't repeat it. And if I got the opposite side front foot, then we were making it. Then we were cooking, smoking. It was about camaraderie and just a good, honest team morale. It was fun.
Right. Now I heard you in that open forum that didn't come to fisticuffs. I thought it might yesterday.
Oh, lucky escape for some people, but
But one of the things you had said is how you were running a fairly busy horse practice. How many?
The maximum, we had 12, which was 6 vans with 2 people in.
Wow. That's a lot of organizing and and just staying on top of things, is it not?
That is your worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spoke to another gentleman who had several apprentices, and he said the stress eventually affected his health.
I think COVID was the catalyst for me decided to, I've had enough of this. And I got the strength of the other businesses to back me up, and I've got other business interests as well. So I actually, for the last probably 10 years, I didn't need to shoe horses, but I did because I love it. COVID, staff going down with COVID, and one goes down, they're all off. When you got 10 or 12 people just taking a 2-week sickie and you're the only one there, and you've got race horses and eventers, and they're still going to the races and they're still in work. What a nightmare.
I bet.
Yeah, what a nightmare. And the only one that didn't get COVID? Me.
You.
Yeah, damn it. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So you ran this very busy practice, but then you were still able to compete at the level you were at. How did you make time to practice and still do all those horses? If you would like to hear this episode in its entirety, please subscribe using the link in the show notes. Thank you for listening.